Hello and welcome to the Winging It Travel Podcast, and this episode is part 1 of 2 of our 2-week road trip in Jordan. And in this episode I am visiting Amman, Jerash, Ajloun and the Dead Sea. Let's get stuck in. Hello, I'm James and this is the Winging It Travel Podcast. In 2023 I spent a year travelling the world with my girlfriend Emma. Join me as I take a look back over our epic trip, and remember to like and subscribe to keep up with our adventures. We did brave a Ryanair flight from Cyprus to Amman, the capital of Jordan, and we were welcomed in with torrential downfall, and our driver took us to downtown Amman where our hostel is, and on the way he put some Fairuz music on, which he absolutely loved. Our accommodation in Amman is called the Gallery Guest House that is situated in downtown Amman, and this is 25 jod a night, which includes a breakfast and a very comfortable room with a shared bathroom. There was no one there. It was a great location to base ourselves in the capital city, and Amman is known for its 7 hills, and we were instantly walking uphill to a local cafe called Jaffa for a coffee and tea. Technically this is still Ramadan, so they wouldn't normally serve food or drink during the day, but to tourists they'll just pull the blinds down and offer what you need, hidden away from the public. We did arrive late into Amman, so we got back to the guest house, ordered a takeout, and yes, the prayer calls and the business of downtown made it a fairly noisy night, but not too bad with earplugs. Next morning unfortunately was the same weather, but we were kicking off the day with a fantastic breakfast at the guest house. Look at this. Included hummus, cucumber, tomato, eggs, banana bread, coffee or tea, and a little cake. A great way to start the day. We did want to plan our 2-week road trip in Jordan, so we took off uphill towards a cafe called Beit Baladna. This place had amazing views of Amman, and it also had great coffee. Super spacious, great service, chilled vibe, nice music, comfortable seats, a perfect place to plan our trip. The location is slightly hidden, but once you find it, you're in for a treat. This place also has Wi-Fi, so it's the perfect place to do a bit of work, a bit of research, and enjoy some great coffee. We absolutely loved it. Okay, Beit Baladna in Amman, Jordan. Their own coffee, trendy caf. Let's give it a go. God, that is super smooth, nice. Finally, the rain subsided, so we made it out into Amman, and our first idea was to head to Rainbow Street. But you need to make sure you pack your runners or your walking shoes for this one, because there's a lot of hills and steps to climb. But due to Ramadan, most of the shops were closed, and I do imagine that this place is buzzing in the evening or during non-Ramadan times. However, great views of the city, and I could see the potential of the street. Emma is always on the lookout for some yarn, and we found a great yarn shop for her to shop away. And in the evening we decided to eat at a restaurant for an Iftar meal, and the restaurant in question is called Faisal, and the total price was 10 jod, and it was all you can eat. People sit down and wait for the sound on the TV to tell them when they can start eating, and a tip here: if you're a tourist, please let the locals go first. They've been fasting all day, you've probably been eating or drinking. And when the queue subsided, we got out there, queued up, and couldn't believe our eyes as we saw how much food there was available to us. The choice covered everything from different meats to salads to hummus to chickpeas to bread to yogurt. So many options, vegan and vegetarian friendly too. And my plate looked like this, twice. Unbelievable. A great way to end the day, and the next day was glorious for the weather as we headed out to a few sites in town, and the first one is the Amman Citadel, which is about a 20-minute walk uphill. This entry was covered by the Jordan Pass. This is something I would recommend people to buy when they enter Jordan. You can buy this at the airport. It will cover the cost of the visa as well as entry into every site in Jordan. Petra can be included too. I would recommend a 2-day pass. More to come on that in the next episode. So we made our way to the Roman ruins and we got to the gate, and instantly you can see the 360-degree views of the whole city. Unbelievable views, a great day for it, so many photos to be had, and I couldn't stop getting videos from every angle. We eventually walked amongst the ruins and into the old buildings, some amazing architecture here on show. All in all, it was a great hour wandering around the site, getting some views and learning more about the city and the history. As you saw in some of the videos and photos, there was a Roman theatre, so we headed downhill, which is about an hour walk through the quiet streets, and again this place is included in the Jordan Pass, and yet again there's something about these theatres that grips me. I don't know what it is, I just love the design, the history, and imagining what this atmosphere would have been like in a full capacity event hundreds of years ago. You can get a view from the bottom, or walk all the way to the top, or walk all the way around. We've done everything we could, and it's great to sit there and reflect on a great day checking out Amman, but also reflecting on our first impression of Jordan as a whole. We knew we'd love the country already, and we're excited to get on the road. Towards the late afternoon, we wandered back to the local cafe for soup and coffee to get ready for the road trip the next day. Our car was booked at the airport, so we got an Uber to the airport, and we got a car from Thrifty, and the car wasn't in the best condition, a lot of scratches. That's kind of good if you're going to thrash about in it for a couple of weeks. You won't get caught if you do a little bit of an excursion off the road. And we got a SIM card for the rest of time in Jordan because we felt like we would need internet in the various towns and cities around the country. After completing the admin, the first stop of the road trip is heading north towards Jerash. Now Jerash have these amazing Roman ruins right next to the newer part of the city, and when parking up to our hostel called Blue House, we did realise straight away that the city was pretty much only locals. The tourists stayed just at the Jerash Roman ruins, and that is it, and there was not many people walking about the town on the way down. As I mentioned, due to Ramadan, there's not many shops or restaurants open in town, so we headed straight down to the visitor centre, where we did have a coffee and ice cream before entering the ruins. The first sight you are greeted with is a gate, and you walk through that into an area where there are rotating columns all around you. It actually weirdly reminded me of Bath in the UK, as they have Victorian houses in a semicircle, but obviously this is much older. I did love the flag in the middle. I couldn't really grasp how awesome this place was going to be at this point, but I did love getting photos in amongst the columns at the entry point here before we walk further in. Let's go. This place also reminded me of Baalbek in Lebanon in the previous episode because of the unreal condition of the ruins. They're so good, so well preserved, very accessible, incredible history, and an absolutely huge area. It does feel like an old city, and you can only imagine what it's like back in the day. We walked around for about 3 hours in the heat, checking out all the different parts of the ruins. These include a viaduct, a hippodrome, an acropolis, a theatre, and much more, as you will see now. As you walk back to the gate, you can take a path up the hill and get an elevated view of the area, and this is when you realise how special this place is and the scale of it as well. So naturally we got some photos of the old ruins but also of the new town and tried to combine those two together, and it's just so grand. We loved the place, it was hot, we did take refuge in some of the theatres to get away from the sun, but all in all a great day walking around the ruins. We walked back to the hostel via a supermarket to get some food to cook our dinner at the hostel that evening. No one in the supermarket was tourists, so they're a bit surprised to see us, and there was no people in the hostel either. On to the next day, we are heading west 20 kilometers to Ajloun Castle. This route is pretty much uphill, and our car did struggle a little bit, so instead of taking 30 minutes, it took an hour. But we parked up, headed out to the castle. Again, the entry is covered by the Jordan Pass. And first up, you're greeted with views of olive fields in the distance. It was so green and lush. And Ajloun Castle is quite small, and it won't take that long to wander around inside. There's a couple of tour groups there as well. This is a 12th century Muslim castle on top of Mount Ajloun, and the area was captured by the Bedouin people in the 12th century. There are various rooms to enter and viewpoints to look out from, and as you can see, we've got a view at every viewpoint possible around the castle. We did love the views, to be fair. Afterwards, we headed outside for a Turkish coffee, sat down, reflected before heading back to the car and heading south towards the Dead Sea. As you can see, the roads are pretty decent, but you do have to be aware of speed bumps in Jordan. They can appear out of nowhere. There are normally signs, but if you're going at a fair speed or taking over someone, you might miss that sign. More to come on that in a bit. And we left the lush green fields of Ajloun and we're starting to head south towards desert-like terrain, and this is when the Dead Sea started to appear outside of our windows. Our plan was to head towards the Dead Sea Spa Resort, where you can get a day pass for 20 jod, and this gives you access to their beach on the Dead Sea, swimming pools, restaurant, changing rooms and restrooms. And we're itching to get down to the sea, as you know, this is the lowest point on Earth at 400 meters below sea level. You hear and read so much about it. You also see it on social media quite a lot. And the water is so salty that you can float in it. And for the first time ever in my life, I could swim and float. It felt unusual and strange, and maybe I should just learn to swim. I didn't really trust the process 100%, but once you get in the water, you just let yourself go and up you pop. Here we go.
Hey.
They do advise you not to stay in the water too long because of the levels of the salt. You can also get covered in mud if you want to give your skin a bit of a makeover. We didn't do this, and we lasted about 15 minutes in the water, had a shower outside, grabbed a sunbed and chilled out with some music in the sun. Dreamy. We did utilise the facilities and went to the adult only pool for a swim and a chill. We are loving life at this point, and in hindsight I do wish we booked a night here in a resort, just so you don't have to go anywhere. You can chill out, enjoy the views, but it will cost you a little bit more money to stay there. However, our aim was to head to the Dana Biosphere, so we headed back into the car to hit the road to make our way up to Dana. We got some incredible views on the way up. I did have a mishap with a speed bump. I did mention this earlier. I didn't see the sign. I was overtaking a truck, probably travelling around 80 kilometers an hour. Saw it real last minute, braked, let the car roll over the speed bump, and then we had that awful feeling of, have we damaged the car? Is everything okay? But after an inspection, it seemed good. Got away with it. And we eventually made it to Dana by dusk, and we booked in at the Dana Eco Lodge, which is run by a guy called Caleb, and he advised us to park in the village below to get picked up by one of his drivers, as the road to the accommodation was a bit ropey. He wasn't wrong, that's for sure. We checked in and dumped our stuff in this room, and then we made our way outside and we were treated to the most awesome sunset. Amazing colours as you can see here, and it started to cool down quite a bit, so we headed inside for a buffet dinner. Again, some great choice and quite busy. Our plan here was to do some hiking around the biosphere, which you will see in the next episode. And to summarise, after a great first few days in Amman, we saw lots of different types of places in the first few days of the road trip. We saw a city, some villages, a castle, some lush green fields, a bit of desert, a sea and a mountain range. And we're loving life on the road at this point. So next up, you're going to see Dana Biosphere, Petra, Wadi Musa, Wadi Rum and Aqaba. And I'll see you there. Please follow and subscribe on my YouTube channel today, and please rate and review the podcast on any podcast platform that you use. Thank you.